So tell me why you are threatening Speaker McCarthy and trying to shut down this government at a time that the Republicans have finally gotten some upper hands here in terms of wins, able to investigate President Biden on what looks like bribery.
Yeah, we don't put our pencils down in the investigation of President Biden during a shutdown, so the premise is false. Second, if Kevin McCarthy was actually serious about pursuing the Bidens, he would have sent Hunter Biden a subpoena by now. That's how you know this is sort of failure theater that you're observing. During the first year of Democrat control of the Congress, they brought in Donald Trump Jr. 3 times over nothing. Over a nothing burger. And so we seem to be fundamentally unserious in our oversight. But what is serious is the fact that we are spending more than $7 trillion a year, bringing in around $5 trillion a year. And I want to fund the government. I'm not pro-shutdown. But the way to fund the government is not the same way we've been doing it since the mid-90s, where it's one up or down vote on the entire government all at once. We should have separate single subject spending bills. It's the only way to break the fever and liberate ourselves from this out-of-control spending.
Well, he's doing the 4 bills next week. So
because we're making him. Because we're making him.
But he's doing it. So to push now to blow up all of the wins that you all have had now.
Which wins? Please enumerate them.
Well, okay. Well, how about the fact that he has set up a weaponization committee to investigate the DOJ, whether they're involved in a cover-up?
That's
how about
process.
the fact that he has, hold on.
Wait
how
a
about the
second.
fact that he, hold on. How about the fact that he has set up the China Select Committee to keep China to account? And, of course, he has launched this inquiry into impeachment, potentially, for President Biden. Is that not what you want?
None of those things are deliverables. Those are steps in a process. Setting up a committee is an end unto itself, only in Washington, D.C. The American people demand results. Hold on, I'll let you talk, Maria.
Okay, go ahead.
These committees have done nothing to reduce inflation. They've done nothing to actually constrain the Biden government. We can set up committees and have hearings and yell at people, but at the end of the day, if we still send the check to fund a weaponized government, having a weaponization subcommittee is little relief to the American people. And if any of this was serious, we would be sending out subpoenas and compelling process the way the January 6th committee did. We should be operating like them. Instead, we're playing patty cake with the Bidens. We're allowing them to get away with it. And we're funding it. We're sending the money. If we were serious, use the power of the purse.
Even if it is for the worst reasons, it's always nice for Fox's audience to get served a small dose of reality, which in this case comes in the way of Matt Gaetz acknowledging on air that Republicans actually don't have any wins to point to during their time in Congress. And it's telling that Bartiromo believes that the big wins by Republicans, who've now controlled the House for over a year, is that they've launched committees. That's it. Nothing on inflation, nothing on lowering costs, nothing on healthcare, nothing on workers, just a bunch of committees intended to attack the Democrats. For a party so focused on government waste, they sure do know how to create it. And by the way, here's why Republican hacks like Maria Bartiromo think that setting up committees is a win for the GOP. It's because she and the rest of that party know that those committees won't actually uncover any damning evidence against Joe Biden, but that doesn't matter because the existence of the committees in and of themselves are enough for Republican officials to pretend that something is wrong. They don't need any evidence of wrongdoing, they just need the opportunity to offer up the optics to do so, and that's exactly what a committee would do. And by the way, this is not a new tactic for the GOP. Here's the former acting Deputy Attorney General under Trump testifying for the January 6th committee.
So let's now put up the notes where you quote the president. As you're speaking to that, he said, the president said, just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. So, Mr. Donahue, that's a direct quote from President Trump, correct?
That's an exact quote from the president, yes.
Just say it was corrupt and leave the rest to me. For the Republicans, it is never about the facts, it is about the optics. It's about painting a narrative of wrongdoing by the Democrats, whether by some announcement or the formation of some committee, and then the foot soldiers can go out and run wild. Maria Bartiromo did it right here in this interview. She says this.
Able to investigate President Biden on what looks like bribery.
On what looks like bribery. Remember, in actuality, Republicans don't have a scintilla of evidence of bribery, but what they do have is an impeachment inquiry thanks to Kevin McCarthy, which offers them a predicate to be able to go out and say stuff like this. The mouthpieces just need anything they can cling on to while manipulating their marks, and the officials know that, and so they get the process going, knowing full well that the committees will find exactly nothing, but that Joe Biden will be found guilty the moment that committee is formed once conservative media gets a hold of the narrative. Just lies on top of lies, wasted time on top of wasted time, all for the express purpose of attacking the other political party. This doesn't help a single solitary American. It only helps Republican politicians who exist to consolidate power for themselves. Matt Gaetz goes on to say this.
But what is serious is the fact that we are spending more than $7 trillion a year, bringing in around $5 trillion a year.
That the government is spending more than it takes in, and so obviously the only solution here is just to start cutting things. Let's cut aid to Ukraine and allow Russia to take over that country as they continue their westward expansion, which definitely won't have any downstream effects for the United States and our national security. Let's cut earned benefits like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Let's cut funding for SNAP and other food programs for the hungry. Let's cut most federal education funding, cancer and other medical research. They want to cut all of that instead of simply raising the tax rates on the wealthiest Americans. They are so in the tank for America's billionaires that instead of having the ultra-rich pay their fair share, they would rather subject 350 million other people to slashed earned benefits and food programs and medical research and education funding. But hey, Jim Jordan likes to tweet that Republicans are the party of the working class now, so I guess I must be mistaken. And that really is what all of this comes down to. Republicans don't care what they have to take away from Americans because they are not serving them, they serve their political ambitions and the wealthy donors who facilitate those political ambitions. That's why when Republicans had full control of government in 2016, they didn't pass anything on health care, they didn't pass anything for workers, they didn't pass anything for the middle class, they didn't pass anything on immigration or gas prices or housing. They passed a tax cut where the impacts were overwhelmingly felt by millionaires and billionaires. That's all. That's what they did with all of their political capital in the immediate aftermath of electing a guy who framed himself as some populist champion to turn around and cut billionaires the fattest check they've ever received because something working class. And look, the fact is that we have the benefit of hindsight to be able to directly compare what you get with a Republican majority versus with a Democratic majority. When Democrats had a razor-thin majority in the House of the same size that Republicans currently have, they passed a once-in-a-generation infrastructure bill, the American Rescue Plan, the Chips and Sciences Act to reshore American jobs from China, facilitated the fastest job growth in U.S. history, record low unemployment, the biggest climate investment in history, allowed Medicare to negotiate lower drug prices, reauthorized the Violence Against Women Act, the first gun safety legislation in 3 decades, the PACT Act for veterans' health care, the largest reduction of the deficit in history. And now, with the same size majority, Republicans are about to preside over yet another government shutdown. And because when it happens, you're guaranteed to hear the GOP blame the Democrats, here's Matt Gaetz precluding his own party from being able to use that excuse.
I believe the government is going to shut down.
Yes, and it's Kevin McCarthy's fault that the government is going to shut down because we didn't move individual spending bills. We cannot blame the Democrats for having not done our job to comply with the coalition agreement that we made at the beginning of the year. That is the fault of the Speaker, and I believe that if he does not immediately remediate that, he will likely face a motion to vacate.
Not the Democrats' fault, but the Republicans. This is what they do when they're handed power. They use it to exact revenge on Democrats, they use it to weaponize the government, and they use it to put on full display just how inept they truly are. They are showing Americans that they are not capable of governing. It's about time we start to listen. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.